everything is okay. The pace car will pull aside. The race will go under the control of the poleman in the Corvette, and when the signal goes green at the head of the field, this 8th round of the championship will be go. 24 cars, 12,000 horsepower, barreling towards turn 1, and it is indeed the Celine that gets the drop on Fassler, and I think that was Greg Fankett in front. Now he's in second place still.
Yeah, we're on board with the Alan Simonson in the Gigawave Aston Martin. Just briefly there, Ferrari's looking to pounce on the Porsche, and have they managed that already? No, Richard Westbrook is still there. A little bit of smoke kicked up at the back of the field. But everybody safely through from the look of it. The Corvette still holds advantage, so it's grid order 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Corvette Celine, Corvette Christophe Bouchou staying ahead of Alan Simonson, who looked to be making a good start, but Anthony Kumpen has gained a place at the expense of Zandy Negrão, the first of the two Vitaphone Maseratis, dropping back behind the Celine in the first corner. Somebody getting a bit racy there as well. That's the number 9 car. This is a visitor to the championship. It's the DKR Motorsport car, Jean-Philippe Desros Corvette. Local knowledge will help them, hopefully. They're wishing anyway.
Just a glimpse of that number 2 Maserati, looking quite slow, I thought, on that main straight there, and already I thought dropping back into the clutches of Carl Wendlinger. Unusually, number 2 has qualified ahead of number 1, so that was Michael Bartels and Andrea Bertolini's car at the back end of the GT1 field. This is that parade of Ferraris. Yep. Look at them. AF Corsa, an AF Corsa nose to tail with CR Scuderia behind. Split. Or was that a Scuderia and Coscar in the middle there?
Yes, it's Tim Mullen. There are two AF Corsa cars followed by Tim Mullen, then Rob Bell. But Richard Westbrook just making true on his promise that the GT2 cars will be up to speed quicker. He and Montanari had both got past Andrea Bertolini on lap 1. Bertolini has now got past the Ferrari, but still has to make his way back past Richard Westbrook, whose Porsche clearly heads GT2.
Well, yes, it was Bertolini in the middle there, so the number 1 Maserati is actually going slower than the number 2 car, which I thought was a little bit slow just here on the opening lap, and I just thought that Wendlinger was closed down on him, but Carl Wendlinger's got a job on his hands, because that DKR number 9 car, which is on
the weekend, Henri Moser, his co-driver in the Kessel Racing car.
Here's the Aston Martin though we were talking about. This is the G2 entry. Proper drivers, Stefan Mucker and Thomas Enger, currently in 18th place, and in the middle of the GT2 squad. You can see it in front of the number 95 car there, Stefan Mucker. We've seen in this championship before, and what I was going to say is significantly for the championship, the number 77 car, which was so outstandingly fast at Spa, is currently lurking in 23rd place on our leaderboard.
Having made a pit stop, however,
yes.
So maybe that's another tactical change.
What's going on there? Because Jamie Davis is in the seat of 62 after a pit stop, but Paolo Ruberti is in the seat of the BMS car.
Well, they didn't have a very good time of it in qualifying. They ended up only 8th on the GT2 grid, as we've got the Picom car then, 95, sailing up alongside Matthias Russo. Taking the battle back to Stefan Mucker, who it is aboard the Aston Martin at the start, and that's
a pit stop, and that's not really good news for Rob Bell.
No, and that's very atypical of Rob Bell's normal behaviour. A very safe pair of hands normally. We didn't see the start of that, only the end of it, so we don't know if he was encouraged into that or just got a little optimistic. He's down the inside of the just lost the back end under braking, managed to avoid serious contact with the 51 Montanari car, which in turn has lost the place to Tim Mullen. So Ron, I hope you're watching that one. It may be traffic, we can't always see what's going on, but this is the battle we were talking about, still for a fairly lowly scoring points, a 7th, but Bertolini right up alongside now. The Porsche is number 60 there, the second string Porsche, having just held him up, and he's made it through. Yes, he has held that line clearly, and Golin, not able to respond, has had to let the Maserati, Zandy Negrão, whose Maserati is equally speeding up down in the 27s, as is Carl Wendlinger and Bertolini. So the whole GT1 field is starting to close up down the inside, all locked up. Will he be able to hold it? No, he won't. The 5 car dives back in on the inside. Franchi made his way past Fessler, but couldn't keep it going. Now we've got Simonson making his way past the CR Scuderia GT2 car to try and renew his attack on what he now knows is a Celine with very much flat-spotted tyres as a result of that outbraking manoeuvre that worked for a moment but couldn't hang on to it.
That's because Marcel Fassler's got a problem. He's definitely the roadblock here, and that's why all these people are piling up behind him, because Bouchou's long gone now. Marcel Fassler is doing his best to keep that Corvette on the pace, but he can't do it. And if Greg Franke doesn't do to him what Bouchou did, I'll be very surprised. Vincent Voss watching from the garage there and waiting nervously. That's the Gigawave crew waiting to see what Alan Simonson's going to do. But the real issue is what Marcel Fassler's going to do, because I think his tyres are definitely past their sell-by, and he's now just driving as defensively as he can, but he can't keep it up forever.
No, as a team manager, you've got to start looking at the option of bringing Fassler in sooner rather than later to get a fresh set of boots on there and to hand over to birthday boy this week, Jean-Denis Delatraz, to do that middle stint before they start losing too much time to Bouchou. Australia is no stranger to this sort of pressure and will handle it just as well as anyone else.
Well, it's definite that Marcel Fassler is going backwards now, and it's only a question of how much further he goes before they call him in for a change of tyres and a change of drivers. They've obviously got a plan and they're trying to stick to it. But look, here comes Simonson now, and I don't think Marcel Fassler will be able to defend himself against that. Doesn't even try, really. Shuts the door on Sandy Negrao. Just one at a time, please, boys. Let's just try and keep this decent. But Sandy Negrao is just a question of time where he does it. He'll be looking for an opportunity as well. And I think, and he's sideways there. Sandy Negrao tried to get on the inside of Marcel Fassler there, but it didn't quite happen for him. But you can see how much quicker now the Maserati is than the Corvette. And if he doesn't go in this time around, I will be surprised, I've got to say.
Yeah, we've seen Sandy Negrao have a few red mist moments this season, but hopefully he will be able to make a clean and fair pass on the Corvette at some point during the lap. But you can see how quickly from the back of the Gigawave car, how quickly Simonson is pulling away from the Corvette that he's just passed. And indeed, in comes, having had a major accident earlier in the week, has put the 36 car out of the running for this weekend. Here's the lead battle now coming up behind. Yes, it's Richard Westbrook's Porsche, isn't it? The red mirrors giving it away, and the fact that the 60 car was in the garage with a whole radiator from the look of things. But this has allowed the battle to close right up. It now is really incumbent upon the Porsche to give way and allow both cars cleanly through, but he's managed to block, unfortunately, the Celine behind. So not the best of results for Greg Franke, but it'll only be, I'm sure, a temporary blip in his pursuit of Bouchou. Bouchou at the moment holding sway, but it's only half a second at the end of the lap. These are the two protagonists we were talking about, both in the pit lane a moment ago. Now they're both back out on track, and it's as ever that magic moment has happened unseen by us, where Vitaphone have done their stuff and they've come out ahead of the Aston Martin during the pit stop sequence.
It's a funny thing, because the Jet Alliance team at the beginning of last year acknowledged that Vitaphone did something in the pits that no one else did, and they studied it, learned from it, and started doing the same thing, and their turnarounds got quicker and quicker and quicker. And it's usually, if you look at the pit lane ins and outs, it's usually, well, Philip Peter also vastly experienced. Here we go back to the battle between Corvette and Celine. These two owe us a pit stop, remember, scything their way through the GT field there, quite ruthlessly in fact, but they are both locked in a battle, and that almost looked like a lunge from Greg Franke from that angle as they cut through the traffic. He knows there's opportunities there to be had if he can stick close enough to Bouchou and keep his wits about him, and again he's looking for a line, and the Porsche wisely staying out of the way to let them through, and they're still nose to tail, and they are still first and second. 0.7 of a second last time. I don't think it's going to be that this time.
No, I think David Ashburn there, wisely having just got into the car
at the back there, wasn't it?
Yep, just getting a little bit loose, and here's another battle in the making. Bartels and Ryan Sharp still hammer and tongs. Ryan Sharp having been passed by Bartels either in the pit lane or on the exit from it. We didn't see exactly what happened, but in traffic it's Ryan Sharp closing right up again onto the back of the Maserati, and again it's Richard Westbrook who is the unwitting block in the progress of a battle in the GT1 field, making his choice of direction known, indicating off to the left, letting the Aston Martin slide through on the inside, and behind him is the silver Aston Martin, of the G2 car now in that. I beg his pardon, it's not, it's the giveaway car, isn't it? It's Thomas Enger having taken over from Stefan Mucker, though, in the car which I mistakenly thought we were looking at.
That is, in fact, the giveaway car with Philip Peter back out after a pit stop. Frankie and Nogaro have not stopped yet, and Jean-Denis Delatraz is on track in front of Xavier Masson.
Yeah, that's been a good turnaround for the 5 team, and just showing that it's not just Vitaphone who can do this bit of magic. Delatraz is out ahead, as we've seen. There is Bartels still trying to get up onto the back of Mike Hazemans, who's now taken over that car as well. So the order is Delatraz and Hazemans now running in 3rd and 4th places. So improvements made for the GMAC crews in that round of pit stops, but it's still Frankie out the front. Andy Nogaro yet to stop either of those two at the head of the field. Delatraz, Hazemans, Marcin Bartels and Sharp following that.
Interestingly here, look, we've got 2 Corvettes now in front of Masson. We've got Delatraz and Hazeman, so there's a bit of a gap and a bit of a cushion back to this man Michael Bartels, and it's Masson who seems to be going back through the field. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he completes this lap and how the times shape up. Yep. Because obviously on his way out of the pits he's got a long lap time. But look, Michael Bartels already thinking about this move on Xavier Masson, who's cold tyres and cold to the car. But Michael Bartels, of course, reasonably fresh in the car at championship.
And another solid professional stop from the Vitaphone team. They really are the best drilled up and down this pit lane. We're coming up to 55 minutes completed. Won't be much longer. Oh dear, there's the GKR engineering car, the visitor to the championship. The Belgian-owned but French-crewed team down in 19th place. And Julien Canal, unfortunately, losing the car under braking.
Like
back end just stepped out, and that's the result. He's parked on the grass on the outside of the corner.
That's what we saw that car do before, isn't it?
A little bit of excitement there as we've seen the Vitaphone car coming under pressure from Ryan Sharp, but still nibbling away at the back of Xavier Marson's Q-Park sponsored SRT car. Christophe Bouchou having had a sterling run out at the front of the field. It's now up to Xavier Marson to keep that going. His car not quite up to temperature yet, though. Ryan Sharp looking to have a nibble down the outside, and is he going to be able to dip back in on the inside and make that stick? Yes, he is. Bartels has to give best for the low, but he's got the inside line. It's side-by-side racing. Would you rather be in that battle in the Aston? Here we are on the inside, or in Bartel's Maserati? Is he able to sweep past in front? Yes, he has. Ryan Sharp has made that pass stick for the time being at least, and in the process he's allowed Philip Peter, who it is alongside Alan Simonson in the Gigawave car, to close right up as well. So this little battle involving 4 cars all disputing 5th place.
Well, that was interesting. Michael Bartels came out wide there, but he knew it was to stop what was going to happen happening. Wasn't at the line, but less than that now, as they've almost completed another lap and the traffic has played its part. Every time we see these concertina effects, the slightly slower cars occasionally having no option but to take the racing line through one of the tight corners here at Nogaro, and not enough width in the track to allow the GT1 cars to pass. Frankie's back on track, and it was quite a slow pit stop, so I don't think he's going to be our race leader when this unfolds. Mike Hazeman, I think, has been the big winner out of all of this, because more importantly than anything else, he's put a bit of air between himself and Michael Bartels, and a couple of cars as well. And that's exactly what he came here to achieve.
Yep, he needs to be up at the very sharp end of the point scoring, though, in order to have a big enough cushion between the points that he will score and the points that Bartels and Bertolini will score to make a significant difference. Ryan Sharp, however, has his own battle to consider, which is to get past Xavier Marson in that Corvette and improve on the current 4th to 5th position that he holds for himself and Carl Wendlinger.
I'll tell you what though, Graham, I think you were spot on with the tyre call about Carl Wendlinger in this car, because I think Ryan Sharp's got a nice set of new tyres, and they're looking rather good, and the car's looking a lot more aggressive than it did in the first part of the race. So I think Carl Wendlinger just did the best he could with what he'd got, and now he's handed it over in a solid position to Ryan Sharp, who now stitches up Xavier Masson. Oh, he's on the grass, and Masson takes it back. Ryan Sharp was very optimistic there, and I think he's going to lose a place in the Maserati, and he's going to lose one to Philip Peter as well. No, he's not. He fights it back. And the Aston Martin tucks in behind him, but Philip Peter wants past, he's on the inside.
gentle friendly nudge to remind him that he's there, having had a nudge from Bartels as well in order to let Bartels through. Ryan Sharp, having tried that overtaking manoeuvre to get running well, the team is running well. He's within sight almost of Mike Hazelman's, but not near enough to yet have a go at getting past him, because he's first got to get past this pesky black and white Corvette. Xavier Marson bolstering the good work done by Christophe Bouchou in the first stint and holding off the rest of the train that follows, but that is allowing Hazelman slowly to get back a bit of more of a lead over Xavier Marson. It's now up to nearly 4.5 seconds, but Hazelman needs to be at the sharp end of things in order to give himself a chance to carry this fight to the end of the season.
He's got to catch Ramos. Ramos is 5 seconds up the road from him, and he wants to put space, points and cars between himself and this man Michael Bartels, who is still having a think about Xavier Marson, isn't he?
Yes, and of course the fact that Hazelman's has got to get past Ramos is one of those that's got to be significant, because Ramos could, if he wished, hold up Hazelman's for some time, I suspect.
Still on board there with Michael Bartels as they pick their way through the GT2 traffic. Still the same order, but I think a little bit of the heat has gone out of this battle. Delatraz, Ramos, Hazelman, Masson and Bartels, then it's Ryan Sharp, then it's this man we're riding with, Philip Peter, looking at the Jet Alliance Aston Martin. Ryan Sharp had a good go at moving up a couple of positions, got it slightly wrong, a little bit of an altercation, and I think we may well have seen the best of his tyres in this stint now.
Yes, it won't have done them any favours, and the stewards having a look at that little inquiry at the moment while we carry on looking through the windscreen of Michael Bartels' Maserati at the back of the Corvette looming larger under braking there. Bartels able to close the gap right down under braking. A little puff of smoke from the back of the car as he lifts off the accelerator, a little bit of unburnt fuel coming back through the system and closing right up now onto the rear of the Corvette. But we've seen this time and again that he can get closer and closer and closer, but not able to make the pass. However, he's sitting right in the slipstream at the moment, dives out at a much later moment. This time I think is the one. He's got the car under control. Marson can do nothing about it, has to give best, and that's the benefit of staying in the strip lane that little bit longer.
Well, he was closer, wasn't he? And Masson did all he could, but there it is, done and dusted. And Michael Bartels now has Mike Hazelman in his sight, because there is now nothing between him and Hazelman. And this pair will also be thinking, where can we get past Xavier Masson? Because the Maserati can do it, it must be our turn next. Ryan Sharp towing up towards the back of it now.
Yeah, be interesting to see how much pace Bartels can gain now, having cleared the... There's a replay from inside Bartels' car, seeing how easy it was, relatively speaking, to dive down the inside there at the last minute. Maybe it was Marson who lost the plot slightly, not taking the defensive line, believing that he could stay ahead whatever Bartels had in the locker, but no.
Yes, the trick there when you're being pressured into that turn at the end of the aerodrome straight is to be not quite a car's width down from the white line, isn't it? So you've covered both options and you have taken your line. And this is getting very serious, isn't it, Philip Peter? Just touching the back end of Ryan Sharp's Aston Martin there and dropping back afterwards.
Yeah, Ryan Sharp's had more than a couple of cars nibbling at the back of his Aston. Thankfully, at the moment, it hasn't cost him anything, but this is going to cost him maybe. Is it side by side? No, they can't do it. Round the outside is not the way to do it. Sharp has managed to keep the power down, and we saw that the Aston was very good through these long corners, just missing out on overall top speed on that long back straight to the muscle cars and the V12 Maseratis. Tim Mullen still now back at the wheel, having got the car back from Andrea Vicini. He in turn is having a good look at the back of Richard Westbrook. These three cars covered by less than half a second. There is nothing like a battle that's over at GT2 until the checker falls. Tony Vilander knows that.
I'm slightly concerned about the Porsche though, Grant, because I keep seeing little puffs of smoke from there. and he clipped a marker post on the last lap as well, so it could just be a bit of bodywork rubbing on the tyre, and you can see it flapping in the breeze, I think, on the right hand side of the rear, and you can see the smoke haze as well. Yes, it has had a little tap, and hopefully whatever it is will just get rubbed off, and it'll be no more trouble. That's Thomas Biaggi, who's watching this race from the pit lane now. Where is Christian Montanari? There he is in fourth. The Aston Martin story, look, incident between 61 and 164 under investigation. Now, we know that the Aston Martin had a little spin and continued, and we know that he was trying to keep out of everybody's way, so I think perhaps Stefan Mucker might have tried a bit too hard to keep out of someone's way, and that's the problem, isn't it? When you do something that isn't expected, that's when the problems arise, and so I think they may just have had a little tap. Speculation, I'm afraid, but it's an educated guess.
Yeah, Henri Moser still heads the GT2 pack, but still has his second stop to make, and he's less than 10 seconds ahead of Jimmy Brumley. Here is the real battle, though, that we were looking at earlier. The three cars nose to tail for what is currently the final podium step, but it could well translate into second and third. Just drifting a little bit wide there, the Porsche. That allows Tim Mullen a glance of the bit of track that he wants to occupy, but he can't get it done. The Ferrari has to throw the anchors on as well to get through this twisty part of the circuit. It opens out again now, and they're off down the straight, and here is the Porsche stretching its legs. The Ferraris, though, maintaining close contact. Tim Mullen just letting Richard Westbrook see the glaring headlights in his mirror, showing as much of the car as he dare. Little lock up there from the Porsche again, and that allows both of the Ferraris to come up nose to tail. The three of them pushing each other round, and it's the Porsche that really is suffering at the moment. Thomas Biaggi in the pit lane watching all this going on, while Christian Montanari is trying to find a way past Tim Mullen. Tim Mullen is desperate to get his way past the Porsche, because he knows that as long as he's mired up behind him and locks up in the process, that he is at risk from being passed by the AF Corsa car.
Henri Moser is our GT2 leader, but he owes us a pit stop. So it's Bruni Westbrook here in second place after a little tap with a trackside marker, still trailing a bit of smoke. Then Tim Mullen, and then the man we're driving with here, Christian Montanari. And you can see the 33 car in the background. Carl Wendlinger is in sixth place and coming up to lap this little group, and that might well affect the outcome of their battle. We've seen that a couple of times, that as faster cars catch slower cars, positions change in both the groups sometimes.
Yeah, and up into contention again for a podium spot has come Rob Bell, having taken over for Andrew Cacordi. He's right behind the car that we're on board with now. Tim Mullen doing everything he knows to try and find a way past Richard Westbrook, but the Porsche driver ahead is immensely experienced. He knows how to make a Porsche as wide as he can. He's not doing anything illegal. He's maintaining the racing line. Now we've got this Jet Alliance Aston Martin coming in to try and spoil the fun and break up the party, and he'll make his way past at least one, perhaps two of the GT2 cars before tipping the car into that corner.
Rob Bell had a little look there, didn't he? Thought I could tag on the back of that if I'm lucky, but he was just unlucky, and Wendlinger's gone. So that's his opportunity missed, and he'll have to do it another way. But Wendlinger now in the middle of the pack here.
Terrific racing all the way through this 2-hour event, which has flown by. We're less than 15 minutes to run, and still the battles are raging all the way through the field. The gap at the head has now stretched out to almost 3 seconds, and in a row over Michael Fessler. It's an hour or more since we've seen a gap that big at the front of the field. Fabrizio Gollin is less than a second behind Bertolini, but Bertolini importantly is in front, and that will bolster their championship position, but not secure.
The last couple of laps it had looked very much as though, as we suspected, Montanari was going to have a go, but in actual fact he's got eaten up by Rob Bell, and it's still Westbrook though holding on to that position from a Ferrari which is quite clearly a lot quicker than the Porsche, and will just zoom off into the distance as soon as it gets past. He's tracking him down the straight, comes out on the outside. Now this is not the way to do it. Westbrook's got track position. He moves over to confirm ownership, and they touch nose to tail all the way through the slow hairpin, but Richard Westbrook very much in control of the situation. He's going to be very difficult to pass, isn't he?
I'd hate to say Tim Mullen's blood pressure at the moment it's out through the roof, because he will be so frustrated. He knows that higher step on the podium is his for the taking, if only he can find a way past In the meantime, up into the equation again has come the number 7 Labra Celine. It hasn't recovered from its slow pit stop first time through. Greg Franke's back at the wheel, but they're in 7th place. They're still behind the Aston Martin of Carl Wendlinger and Alan Simonson. It is who's the best placed of the Astons, behind the battling pairs of Maseratis and Corvettes up at the real top of the field.
So the Celine's going to make its way through, and what will they make of this? And unfortunately Montanari can't go with him as he begins to pick off the GT2 cars one by one. Westbrook still at the head of the parade and driving out of his skin in that Porsche to stay ahead of Tim Mullen. And as you say, Tim Mullen must be at boiling point, because that car is quicker, isn't it? Definitely that Ferrari is quicker than the Porsche, and given a clear piece of track he could move ahead, and they're carrying the fight forward now, and in front of them is Jimmy Bruni, and he's only 1.7 seconds in front of them. So now this is looking like a battle for the lead. Henri Moser actually heads GT2, but he's got to make a pit stop, and Westbrook, that is the perfect position there. That's exactly what we were talking about. That is the widest you can be. He's run a little bit wider through the hairpin, but under extreme pressure Richard Westbrook keeps his cool and keeps his head, and there is nothing Tim Mullen side looking for his opportunity. And the number 1 Maserati's got a puncture. Bertolini in trouble there, and he'll be in the pit lane with that left rear puncture, and that means that
we cross the line 100th ahead. We don't care as long as we're in front.
We're under 2 minutes remaining, and they are into 2 laps. This one and the next one, I think, before the checkered flag will fall. And Tim Mullen still hasn't abandoned his hope of getting past Richard Westbrook, and I'm not sure that Richard Westbrook has abandoned his hope of getting after Jimmy Bruni. Quite clearly that Porsche has used its tyres and then the canvas, and now he's in trouble.
Yeah, he's almost down onto the rims now, isn't he? And again, Mullen carrying much more corner speed through than the Porsche, but not able to make it stick. And back into the equation has come Christophe Bouchou. I'll take a couple of you guys for breakfast, thank you very much. And through comes the SRT Corvette. Let's hope that doesn't diffuse this battle to the flag between the Porsche and the it's defused Rob Bell, I'm afraid. His car is the one that's got caught out there. Don't know how that happened, didn't see the beginning of it. The result though is he's pointing the wrong way, and the car is well and truly beached. Is that front wheel broken, or is it just at a really sharp lock?
It's just on a sharp lock, at least I hope so. I'd like to see the other one before I made a firm commitment to that, but I think he's got more of a problem. I think he may have lost drive, because that wheel just spun. Is this a replay? Are we going to see a little touch? I think we might. Yes, he got rudely poked from behind there, didn't he, by Christian Montanari?
Yes, that wasn't the best of driving on Montanari's part from the angle we could see. Of course, it may have looked quite different from on board. Jimmy Bruni, meanwhile, has got a massive 0.6 of a second still under his belt, while we're looking at race leader Zandy Negrão ready to bring the Vitaphone Maserati home. There's the checker flag, and the victory will go to Zandy Negrão once he reaches that flag. We're still showing 5 seconds on the clock. Here is Negrão coming round to complete that lap. So a little cautious use of the checker flag to make sure that people recognise that they're on there. They've now finished their race, because by the time they get back round, here we go, 4-way battle. How many do you need?
Look who's at the front there. Look who's at the front of that group there. It's Richard Westbrook in the Porsche,
and shuffled down the order. Yep.
So Richard Westbrook is going to give Porsche its first win. How good is this? What a titanic struggle we have seen all the way through. Somehow or other, Richard Westbrook heads this field, and look who's behind it.
It's Tim Mullen, and is he going to make a final stab up the inside on the last corner? Has he got the power to pull away from the Porsche, get past him on the start-finish straight? Don't know that he has. They're coming up to the flag anytime now, and again Bruni's been shuffled down the order because Montanari's made his way past, so he's gone from first to fourth in less than a lap. Richard Westbrook hanging on, Tim Mullen going up alongside. One more chance. Is he going to make it stick? No, he can't. Westbrook still hangs on there, and there's no way back from here. I don't think there's another opportunity on the lap. We'll have to...
We still don't know what caused the puncture for the Maserati, but at the moment it's Negrão, Golin, Fassler, and then Simonson and Wendlinger first to fifth. GT2, Richard Westbrook, a classic first win of the season for Porsche, with Tim Mullen in second place and quite possibly Christian Montanari in third.